Hey wrestling fans, if you want the most insane WWE speculation and storyline breakdowns on the entire platform, you need to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell right now to join our community because what we're about to break down will absolutely blow your mind. Picture this. The Raw broadcast has just ended. The crowd is still buzzing with electricity. Somewhere in the backstage corridors of the arena, something is about to happen that could reshape the entire landscape of WWE's main event scene. Femi, the rising force of African excellence in the company, finds himself face to face with two of the most intimidating figures in professional wrestling history, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman. And the intensity of this moment could change everything. Let's start by understanding why this meeting matters so much. Femi has been on an absolute tear through the Raw roster. This isn't just another monster heel getting a push. This is a powerhouse from the other side of the world who has captured the imagination of fans because he wrestles with a purpose, with a story, and with the kind of physical dominance that makes you believe he could run through anyone placed in front of him. His matches have storytelling. His character work shows growth. He's not just a big guy. He's a presence. He's a threat. Now consider Brock Lesnar on the other side of this interaction. We've seen Brock transition multiple times throughout his career. He's been the monster heel's fear. He's been the guy hunting championships. He's been the advocate for chaos. But the Brock Lesnar we're talking about in this hypothetical backstage meeting is someone who commands respect simply by existing. Paul Heyman standing beside him isn't just a manager. Heyman is a historian of wrestling. Heyman is a strategist. Heyman is the voice of legitimacy. So what happens when Lesnar sees Femi? The first possibility is recognition. Brock Lesnar understands dominance because he's lived it. He's traveled the world as a monster. He's held championships across multiple companies. He's faced everyone. So when Lesnar lays eyes on someone like Femi, someone whose pure physical presence rivals his own, there's a moment of acknowledgement. This isn't fear. Lesnar doesn't experience fear in a traditional sense. This is professional respect. This is the look a heavyweight champion gives to the next heavyweight champion. Paul Heyman, the master of the narrative, would immediately see the angle. Heyman is always thinking 10 steps ahead. Heyman is the guy who made Brock Lesnar into a global phenomenon. Heyman's mind works like a chess player. He sees Femi and he's thinking about story implications, about championship implications, about legacy implications. Heyman would lean close to Lesnar and whisper something that changes the trajectory of everything. What could Heyman say? Maybe he's already thinking about the next big match Lesnar needs. Maybe he's sizing up potential opponents. Maybe he's seeing the business angle. Heyman is brilliant at identifying who the next credible threat is before anyone else realizes it. Femi, with his combination of size, athleticism, and that African warrior mentality he brings to his matches, is exactly the kind of opponent that makes sense for someone of Lesnar's caliber. The dynamic of this backstage meeting is crucial because it's not two equals. Lesnar and Heyman exist at the top tier of WWE's landscape. Femi is ascending. So this meeting becomes a moment of intersection. It's the established power structure acknowledging the next generation. It's the old guard recognizing the threat before the threat fully manifests. What makes this particularly intriguing from a storytelling perspective is the character psychology involved. Femi isn't a guy who backs down. He's built his entire character on the principle that he walks through people. So if this meeting happens, if they make eye contact, there's tension. There's an unspoken challenge. Femi doesn't need words. His presence does the talking. His intensity does the communicating. From Lesnar's perspective, he's staring at someone who could legitimately be a problem. Not in the sense that Lesnar is worried, but in the sense that Lesnar recognizes a peer emerging. This is the kind of moment that produces legendary exchanges down the line. This is how you build main event programs. You put two dominant physical forces in a room and let the wrestling world wonder what's about to unfold. Now think about where this could lead. If Heyman is smart, and Heyman is always smart, he's already mentally constructing the narrative. Lesnar versus Femi isn't just a physical matchup. It's old dominance versus emerging dominance. It's proven championship pedigree against raw, undeniable potential. It's the embodiment of the modern WWE wrestling philosophy coming up against the heavyweight tradition that Lesnar represents. The beauty of this backstage moment is that it doesn't require a confrontation. It doesn't require raised voices or physical altercations. Sometimes the most powerful moments in professional wrestling are the quiet ones. They're the moments where two competitors simply look at each other and the entire audience at home understands that something significant has shifted. The gauntlet has been dropped without a single word. Heyman would understand this. Heyman would create the narrative around this simple exchange. Heyman would use this moment to build towards something extraordinary. He'd go on television and talk about how his guy, Brock Lesnar, locked eyes with the future of African wrestling excellence and recognized a kindred spirit in violence. He'd build it as a respect between monsters, with the unspoken understanding that at some point, the wrestling world would demand they tear the house down together. What's fascinating about analyzing this potential storyline is how it speaks to the evolution of professional wrestling as a narrative medium. Femi represents a new chapter. Brock Lesnar represents the chapter that came before. Their collision, whether it happens in a backstage meeting or in the center of a WWE ring, represents the passing of an era and the beginning of another. The real storytelling genius would be in how you extend this moment. Do Lesnar and Femi eventually align? Do they become a dominant force that the entire roster has to contend with? Or does this backstage moment lead to a championship program that defines the next year of Raw? Does this meeting set Femi on the path toward the World Heavyweight Championship? When you consider the bigger picture of WWE storytelling, this moment, this hypothetical backstage meeting, becomes the perfect micro-story that serves the macro narrative. It's not about who wins. It's about recognition. It's about the acknowledgement that the landscape of WWE is changing, and that change is embodied in someone as physically gifted and emotionally fierce as Femi. This is the kind of moment that WWE Express exists to break down. This is the kind of storytelling nuance that makes professional wrestling so captivating to those of us who understand it as a legitimate narrative art form. We're not just watching athletes perform spots. We're watching stories unfold. We're watching character arcs develop. We're watching the wrestling world shift beneath our feet. If this moment happened, if this backstage meeting actually went down the way we're analyzing it, it would be the kind of subtle, brilliant storytelling that elevates WWE to something truly special. It would be the kind of moment you'd rewatch and think about for months afterward. So make sure you're subscribed to WWE Express because we're going to be breaking down every single major development in WWE storytelling moving forward. We look at the why behind the booking. We analyze character psychology. We examine the genius of professional wrestling as narrative art. Subscribe to WWE Express now and never miss another deep dive into what makes WWE the greatest sports entertainment company in the world.